For a long, long time, treating mental illness has kind of been like trying to fix a car engine just by listening to the weird noises it's making. You hear a clank, you hear a whir, but you don't really know what's going on inside. But what if you could look directly at the engine's blueprint? Well, a radical new approach is trying to do exactly that, to get past the symptoms and start treating the brain at its source. Let's dive in. This quote from Dr. Abraham Pellet really just hits the nail on the head. It's the foundation for everything we're talking about today. I mean, think about it. In every other part of medicine, we find the cause to find the cure. So why has psychiatry been the big exception? And more importantly, how is that all about to change? This slide right here illustrates the problem perfectly. On the one hand, you've got something like appendicitis. It's clear, right? We know the location, it's the appendix, and we know the cause, it's inflammation. Simple. But then you have a diagnosis like depression. It's basically a checklist of feelings and behaviors. It tells us what a person is experiencing, but it gives us almost no clue about the where or the why inside their brain. So, why have we been stuck in this symptom-based rut for so long? Well, the answer is pretty simple and also incredibly complicated: the human brain. It's not a simple machine. It's this beautiful, chaotic system of billions of neurons where one tiny change over here can cause huge, unpredictable effects way over there. Finding the single source of a problem has been, until now, next to impossible. And that brings us to the solution that's on the table: a new, brain-based blueprint. This isn't just another theory. It's a whole new framework designed to translate those subjective symptoms, the things we can describe, into objective, testable ideas about what's physically happening inside the brain. This blueprint is built on 3 core pillars that work together in a constant loop. First, you sense objective data from the real world. Then, you analyze that data to figure out the cause in the brain. And finally, you modulate the brain's activity to help correct the issue. So let's break down each one of those steps. Okay, so step 1, sense, is all about what we call digital psychiatry. This means we're moving way beyond just talking about feelings in a doctor's office once a month. Instead, imagine using the technology that's already in our pockets, our phones, our smartwatches, to gather continuous, objective data on everything from sleep patterns and heart rate to movement and even our speech. So you've got all this data pouring in. Now what? That's the million-dollar question. And the answer is neuroanalysis. This is really the engine of the whole system. It's the crucial step that translates all those digital signals, like a tiny change in your walking speed or the tone of your voice, into a concrete, testable hypothesis about a specific disturbance in a specific brain system. But how on earth does neuroanalysis make sense of all this information? Well, it works by mapping brain functions across 2 really important dimensions: space, as in which brain networks are involved, and time, which can be anything from milliseconds all the way up to an entire lifetime. This map basically organizes our brain's activity into 3 major networks, and each one kind of operates on its own clock. First, you have the Central Executive Network, or CEN. This is your quick thinking, in-the-moment cognition, and it works in milliseconds. Then there's the Salience Network, the SN, which handles our mood and emotions over hours, days, even weeks. And finally, the Default Mode Network, the DMN, which shapes our core personality over our entire lifetime. By understanding this framework, we can start to pinpoint exactly where and on what timescale a disorder might be operating. All right, so once neuroanalysis has pinpointed the problem circuit, what do you do about it? That brings us to the 3rd pillar, neuromodulation. This is the modulate step. It uses targeted, non-invasive stimulation to directly influence brain activity. It's essentially like recalibrating the network that's gone off kilter and helping restore its normal, healthy function. So this isn't just some cool idea on a whiteboard. This entire blueprint is being turned into a real-world ecosystem of actual tools. Let's take a look at how this new science is being put into practice right now. And the need for a better way couldn't be more urgent. Just look at this number. The global economic cost of our current approach to mental illness is projected to hit a staggering $16 trillion by 2030. That's a mind-blowing figure. This isn't just about better science. It's about solving one of the most massive challenges facing all of us. And that is exactly why this new ecosystem of tools is being developed, everything from diagnostic software to wearable treatments. The goal here is simple but huge:
to finally transform psychiatry from a descriptive art into a data-driven science that treats disorders at their actual source in the brain.
And at the forefront of this revolution is something called neurotrait. Get this, it's being developed as the world's very first psychiatric brain pacer. Yeah, you heard me right. Think of a pacemaker for the heart, but this is a wearable system designed for the brain, one that can detect, interpret, and correct faulty brain signals as they happen. So, how does it work? It integrates 5 different types of sensors, measuring everything from your actual brain waves with an EEG to your movement patterns and even the subtle changes in your voice. By putting all of this data together, it creates what's called a clinical brain behavior signature, a detailed profile of your brain activity that is completely and totally unique to you. And here's where it gets really groundbreaking. All of this comes together to create a true closed-loop system. What that means is the device is constantly sensing for that specific brain signature that indicates a problem. And the moment it detects it, it applies a tiny bit of targeted stimulation to help normalize that activity. It's personalized, adaptive therapy that's always on and always learning. So what does all this point towards? Well, it points to a future that we could call curative psychiatry. A new era where we're not just trying to manage mental illness, but to actually treat it with the precision of modern neuroscience. The ultimate vision here is to finally take the guesswork out of the equation, to move past just subjective descriptions and to establish a single, unified standard of care that's based on the measurable, biological reality of the human brain. It's a fundamental shift from just managing symptoms to actually curing their causes. And this leaves us with one profound question to chew on. What would it mean for millions of people all over the world if we could finally treat mental illness not by its outward symptoms, but by its unique underlying signature in the brain? The answer could change absolutely everything.